There is a quiet truth that most people ignore for years, and sometimes for their entire lives, and that truth is that wealth does not begin in the bank, and it does not begin in opportunity, and it does not even begin in hard work. It begins in the way a person thinks before any visible success appears in the outer world. Many people chase money as if it is something separate from themselves. They run after jobs, after business ideas, after shortcuts, after trends, but they rarely pause and examine the one place where all success is actually born, and that place is the mind, a mind that is unclear, confused, doubtful, or filled with fear will always create results that reflect that inner state, no matter how hard a person works. This is why, too, people can have the same opportunity, and one becomes successful while the other remains stuck. It is not because the opportunity was different. It is because the thinking behind the action was different. One person acts with clarity, belief, and direction, while the other acts with hesitation, fear, and uncertainty. Before money grows, thinking must grow. Before results change, identity must change. Before success becomes visible, it must first become believable inside the mind. This book is not only about becoming rich in the financial sense. It is about understanding the thinking patterns that lead to growth, discipline, confidence, and long-term success. The idea of thinking before getting rich is simple yet powerful. It means learning how to control thoughts instead of being controlled by them. It means understanding how beliefs are formed and how they influence decisions. It means recognizing that success is not an accident, but a result of repeated mental habits that shape actions over time. In the modern world, people are surrounded by noise, opinions, distractions, and comparisons. They scroll through success stories without understanding the struggle behind them. They see results without seeing the thinking that created those results. And because of this, they try to copy actions without building the mindset required to sustain those actions. This leads to frustration and confusion. People start something and leave it halfway. They doubt themselves. They compare their beginning to someone else's middle, and they slowly lose confidence, not because they are incapable, but because they never trained their mind to stay focused, committed, and strong during uncertainty. True growth begins when a person becomes aware of their own thinking patterns, when they start to question their fears, their excuses, and their limitations, when they realize that their current situation is not permanent, but a reflection of past thoughts, decisions, and habits. This awareness is the starting point of transformation. This journey is not about overnight success. It is about building a foundation that cannot easily break. It is about developing clarity in goals, strength in decisions, and consistency in effort. It is about understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of the process that teaches resilience and improvement. Throughout this book, you will explore how thoughts turn into beliefs, how beliefs shape actions, and how actions create results. You will see how discipline overcomes distraction, how patience builds long-term success, and how self-belief becomes the fuel that keeps a person moving forward, even when results are not immediately visible. You will also understand that wealth is not only about money, it is about control over your time, your energy, your focus, and your direction. A person who earns money without the right thinking often loses it, while a person who builds the right thinking can create wealth again, even after losing everything. This book will guide you through the process of developing that thinking step by step, not in a complicated way, but in a practical and realistic way that connects with everyday life. The goal is not to impress you with complex ideas, but to help you understand simple truths that, when applied consistently, can change your direction completely. The journey ahead requires honesty, patience, and commitment. It requires you to look at yourself without excuses and to take responsibility for your growth. It will challenge your comfort zone and push you to think differently. But that is exactly where change begins. Before you try to grow rich, you must first learn how to think rich, not in terms of greed or shortcuts, but in terms of clarity, confidence, discipline, and vision. When your thinking changes, your actions follow. And when your actions change, your results begin to transform. This is where your journey starts, not with money, not with opportunity, but with a decision to take control of your thinking and build a mindset that is strong enough to create the life you truly want. Chapter 1. The Power of Thought and the Seed of Wealth. Every visible result in life begins as something invisible. A thought, a small idea, a quiet belief that forms in the mind before it ever takes shape in reality. People often focus on what they can see: money, success, lifestyle, position, but they ignore the origin of all these things, which is thought. Thought is not just imagination or random thinking. It is the starting point of direction. It decides what you notice, what you ignore, what you believe is possible, and what you reject without even trying. A person does not move toward success by accident. They move toward it because their thinking slowly guides their decisions in that direction. When a person wakes up every day with doubt, fear, and confusion, their actions reflect that state. They hesitate, they delay, they avoid risk, and even when opportunities appear, they fail to act on them because their mind is not prepared to accept success. On the other hand, when a person develops clarity, belief, and purpose, their actions become sharper, more consistent, and more focused. They start seeing possibilities where others see problems. The mind works like soil, and thoughts are seeds. Whatever is planted repeatedly begins to grow if a person constantly feeds their mind with negative thinking, failure stories, and self-doubt. Then over time, it becomes their reality. Not because they are unlucky, but because their thinking creates a pattern of behavior that leads to poor results in the same way. When a person feeds their mind with belief, discipline, and focused goals, they begin to act in ways that align with growth. One of the biggest misunderstandings about wealth is that people think it comes from external factors, like luck, connections, or timing. All these things can influence outcomes. They are not the foundation. The real foundation is internal. It is the way a person thinks about themselves, about effort, about failure, and about time. A person who believes that success is only for others will never fully commit to their own journey. Even if they try, they will stop at the first sign of difficulty, because deep inside, they have already accepted defeat without realizing it. In contrast, a person who believes that success is possible for them approaches challenges differently. They see obstacles as temporary, and they keep moving even when progress is slow. Thinking shapes identity, and identity shapes action. When a person sees themselves as capable, disciplined, and focused, they naturally begin to act in ways that support that identity. They take responsibility for their actions, they manage their time better, and they stay consistent even when motivation is low. Many people wait for motivation before they take action, but motivation is often a result of thinking, not a starting point. When the mind is clear and focused, action becomes easier. When the mind is scattered and doubtful, even simple tasks feel difficult. This is why controlling thought is more powerful than chasing motivation. There is also a silent influence that thoughts have on perception. Two people can experience the same situation but interpret it differently. One may see failure, while the other sees feedback. One may feel defeated, while the other feels challenged. This difference is not in the situation, but in the thinking pattern behind it. To understand the power of thought, it is important to recognize that not all thoughts are useful. The mind produces many ideas every day, but only a few should be accepted and reinforced. Successful individuals learn to filter their thinking. They do not allow every negative thought to grow. They question it, they replace it, and they choose thoughts that support their goals. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is easy. It means choosing a perspective that allows growth instead of stopping progress. A realistic thinker acknowledges difficulty, but does not let it define their limits. They accept the challenge and focus on solutions rather than problems. The process of building wealth begins long before money is earned. It begins when a person decides to take control of their thinking patterns. This decision may seem small, but it has long-term impact because consistent thinking leads to consistent action, and consistent action leads to results. Example 1. A young man from a small town spends years believing that success only belongs to people with strong connections and financial support. He works a basic job and avoids taking risks because he feels it is pointless over time. He becomes comfortable with limited growth not because he lacks ability, but because his thinking keeps him in a fixed position. One day, he meets someone from a similar background who has built a small business through consistent effort and learning. This challenges his belief. He begins to question his thinking and slowly starts learning new skills. He takes small steps at first, facing fear and doubt, but continuing anyway. Over time, his actions change, and so do his results. The shift did not begin with money. It began with a change in thought. Example 2. A woman with strong skills and education constantly doubts her abilities. She overthinks every decision and fears making mistakes, even though she has opportunities to grow in her career. She holds herself back because she believes she is not ready. She compares herself to others and feels behind. At some point, she realizes that her thinking is the real limitation, not her capability. She begins to change the way she speaks to herself. She focuses on progress instead of perfection and starts taking action despite fear. Her confidence grows not because fear disappears, but because she learns to act in its presence. Her career begins to move forward and new opportunities appear. The change again started in her mind before it showed in her life. These examples show a simple but powerful truth. Thinking is not separate from results. It is deeply connected to them. A person cannot expect to create a successful life with a mindset that avoids growth, responsibility, and effort. The power of thought is not something that works instantly. It works through repetition and consistency. Small changes in thinking may not show immediate results, but over time, they reshape habits, decisions, and outcomes. Just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, the thoughts a person plants today will shape their future gradually. This is why patience is important in this process. Many people give up too early because they do not see immediate change. They return to old thinking patterns and repeat the same cycles. But those who stay consistent with positive and focused thinking begin to see transformation, not only in results, but also in confidence, clarity, and direction. To build a strong foundation for wealth, a person must first become aware of their thoughts and then take responsibility for shaping them. This is not a one-time effort, but a continuous process, because the mind is always active and influenced by surroundings, experiences, and interactions. In the end, success is not just about what you do. It is about how you think while doing it. Two people can take the same action but achieve different outcomes because their mindset behind the action is different. One acts with belief and persistence, while the other acts with doubt and hesitation. The seed of wealth is planted in the mind before it appears in reality, and the quality of that seed determines the quality of the result. If you want to change your life, you must begin by changing the way you think, because every future result is already taking shape in your present thoughts. Chapter 2. Desire. The starting point of all achievement. Every meaningful achievement begins with a strong desire, not a casual wish, not a temporary interest, but a deep internal drive that pushes a person to move forward, even when the path is unclear and the results are not immediate. Desire is the force that gives direction to thought and energy to action. Without it, even the most talented individuals remain inactive. Many people say they want success, but their desire is weak. It changes with mood, it disappears with difficulty, and it fades when comfort is available. This type of desire cannot produce lasting results because it is not rooted deeply enough to survive challenges. Real desire is different. It is stable, it is persistent, and it creates a sense of urgency that does not depend on external conditions. Desire begins when a person becomes clear about what they truly want, not what others expect, not what society suggests, but what genuinely matters to them. This clarity is important because without it effort becomes scattered. A person may try many things without committing to any of them, and as a result, progress remains slow and inconsistent. When desire is strong, it organizes thinking, it removes unnecessary distractions, and it aligns actions with purpose. A person with clear desire does not waste time constantly changing direction. They know what they are working toward, and they accept that the process will take time, effort, and patience. There is also an emotional element to desire. It is not just logical planning. It is a feeling that connects deeply with identity. When a person strongly desires something, they begin to imagine it. They feel it as if it is already part of their life, and this emotional connection strengthens their commitment. It becomes easier to stay focused because the goal feels meaningful. However, desire alone is not enough. It must be supported by belief. An action, a person may want success very strongly, but if they do not believe it is possible for them, they will hesitate, they will hold back, and their actions will not match their desire in the same way. If desire is not followed by consistent effort, it remains only a dream. One of the biggest challenges people face is confusing desire with comfort. They say they want success, but they are not willing to give up habits that keep them in the same place. They avoid discomfort, they delay important decisions, and they choose short-term ease over long-term growth. This weakens desire because true desire requires sacrifice and discipline. Strong desire also creates resilience. When a person faces failure, they do not stop, they adjust their approach and continue. This does not mean they never feel discouraged, but their desire is stronger than their temporary emotions, so they keep moving forward, even when progress is slow. Another important aspect of desire is focus. The mind cannot fully commit to multiple conflicting goals at the same time. When a person tries to chase too many things, their energy becomes divided, and their results become average in many areas. Instead of strong in one area, focused desire allows a person to direct all their effort toward a specific goal, which increases the chances of success. Desire must also be specific. Vague goals create weak desire. When a person says they want to be successful without defining what success means, their mind has no clear direction. But when they define their goal clearly, it becomes easier to plan actions, measure progress, and stay motivated. It is also important to understand that desire can be developed. It is not something that only a few people are born with. It grows when a person exposes themselves to new possibilities, when they learn from others, when they challenge their current limits, and when they begin to believe that a better life is achievable. Environment plays a role in shaping desire. If a person is surrounded by negativity, low expectations, and limited thinking, their desire may remain small because they do not see examples of growth. But when they are exposed to people, ideas, and experiences that expand their vision, their desire begins to grow stronger. Desire acts like a fuel. Without it, the engine of action slows down and eventually stops. With it, even difficult tasks become manageable because there is a clear reason behind every effort. This is why successful individuals protect their desire. They remind themselves of their goals. They stay connected to their purpose, and they avoid distractions that weaken their focus. Example 1. A young student dreams of becoming financially independent, but at first his desire is unclear. He studies without direction and spends time on activities that do not support his goal. His progress is slow, and he feels frustrated over time. He realizes that his desire is not strong enough to guide his actions, so he begins to define his goal more clearly. He decides what type of career he wants and what skills he needs to develop. As his desire becomes more focused, his behavior changes. He reduces time spent on distractions and increases time spent on learning and practice. He faces challenges and moments of doubt, but his clear desire keeps him moving forward. Eventually, he begins to see improvement in his skills, and opportunities start to appear. The change began when his desire became strong and specific. Example 2. A woman working in a stable but unfulfilling job feels a constant sense of dissatisfaction. She often thinks about starting her own business, but her desire is weak. Because she fears failure and uncertainty, she continues in the same routine for years, until one moment when she realizes that her current path will not lead to the life she truly wants. This realization strengthens her desire. She begins to take small steps. She learns about business, she saves money, and she gradually prepares for the transition. The journey is not easy, and there are many moments of doubt, but her desire has become strong enough to push her through uncertainty. Over time, she builds her business and creates a new path for herself. Her success did not come from sudden change, but from a deep desire that guided consistent action. These examples show that desire is not just a feeling, it is a force that shapes decisions and actions. It determines whether a person continues or stops, whether they grow or remain the same. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, desire plays a central role because it gives meaning to effort. Without desire, work feels like a burden. With desire, work becomes a step towards something valuable. It is also important to regularly revisit and strengthen desire because over time, distractions, responsibilities, and challenges can weaken focus. Successful individuals keep their desire active by reminding themselves why they started and what they are working toward. Desire is the starting point, but it must be protected, developed, and supported by belief and action. When all these elements come together, a person creates a powerful momentum that moves them toward their goals step by step. In the end, wealth does not begin with money. It begins with a strong, clear, and persistent desire that shapes thinking, influences decisions, and drives consistent action toward a defined purpose. Chapter 3. Faith and Belief in the Invisible Process. Faith is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful forces behind success. It is not limited to religion or tradition. It is a mental state, a deep belief that what you are working toward is possible, even when there is no immediate proof visible in your current reality. It is the ability to continue moving forward when results have not yet appeared. Many people stop their journey too early because they rely only on visible evidence. They expect quick results, and when they do not see progress, they begin to doubt themselves, their efforts, and their direction. This doubt weakens their actions and eventually leads to quitting, not because success was impossible, but because their belief was not strong enough to carry them through the invisible phase. The invisible process is the period where effort is being made, but results are not yet visible. This phase is often uncomfortable because it requires patience, consistency, and trust in the process. A person may work for weeks or months without seeing clear outcomes, and during this time, their mind becomes their biggest challenge. If they lose belief, they slow down or stop completely. Faith acts as a bridge between effort and results. It allows a person to stay committed during uncertainty. It helps them maintain focus when distractions appear, and it gives them the strength to continue when progress feels slow. Without faith, even the best plans fail because they are not supported by consistent action. Belief is closely connected to identity. What a person believes about themselves influences how they act. If someone believes they are capable, they approach challenges with confidence. They try again after failure, and they take responsibility for improvement. If someone believes they are limited, they avoid challenges. They fear failure, and they hesitate even when opportunities appear. One important aspect of faith is that it is built, not given. It grows through repeated actions, small wins, and consistent effort. Every time a person takes action, despite doubt, they strengthen their belief. Every time they overcome a challenge, they prove to themselves that progress is possible. Over time, this builds confidence and makes it easier to trust the process. Negative belief patterns often come from past experiences, environment, and repeated thoughts. If a person has faced failure or criticism, they may begin to believe that they are not capable. This belief then influences their future actions, creating a cycle where they avoid effort and confirm their own doubts. Breaking this cycle requires conscious effort to replace limiting beliefs with stronger, more supportive ones. Faith does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that everything will be easy. It means accepting that challenges are part of the journey. While still believing in the possibility of success, it allows a person to face difficulties without losing direction. It creates stability in thinking, which leads to consistency in action. Another important element of belief is visualization. When a person clearly imagines their goal and connects emotionally with it, their mind begins to accept it as possible. This does not replace action, but it strengthens motivation and focus. It helps the person stay aligned with their goal, even when external results are not. Yet visible faith also reduces the impact of fear. Fear often comes from uncertainty and lack of control. When a person develops belief in their ability to handle situations, fear does not disappear, but it becomes manageable. They learn to act despite it instead of being stopped by it. The environment around a person can either strengthen or weaken their belief if they are surrounded by negativity, doubt, and discouragement. It becomes harder to maintain faith. In contrast, being around supportive people, positive influences, and growth-oriented thinking can help reinforce belief and keep the mind focused on possibilities instead of limitations. Consistency is where faith shows its true power. It is easy to feel confident when things are going well, but real belief is tested when progress slows down or when failure occurs. A person with strong faith continues to act with discipline, even when motivation is low, because they trust that their efforts will eventually lead to results. Example 1. A young man starts learning a new skill with the goal of building a better career. In the beginning, he is motivated and excited, but after some time he realizes that progress is slower than expected. He struggles to understand certain concepts and begins to doubt his ability. He considers giving up because he does not see immediate results. Instead of stopping, he decides to continue practicing daily. Even when he feels uncertain, he reminds himself that learning takes time and that improvement is gradual over weeks and months. His understanding improves and his confidence grows. Eventually, he reaches a level where opportunities begin to appear. His success did not come from instant talent, but from faith in the process and consistent effort during the invisible phase. Example 2. A woman decides to start a small business with limited resources. In the beginning, she faces many challenges. She does not have immediate customers, and her progress feels slow. People around her question her decision, and this creates doubt in her mind. Despite this, she continues to work on her idea. She improves her product, she learns from mistakes, and she stays consistent in her efforts. She believes that if she continues to improve and adapt, results will come over time. Her business begins to grow as she gains customers who value her work. Her journey was not easy, but her belief allowed her to continue. When results were not immediately visible, these examples show that faith is not about certainty of outcome, but about commitment to the process. It is the decision to continue moving forward, even when the path is not fully clearing. The journey of thinking before becoming rich. Belief plays a central role because it determines how long a person is willing to stay committed without visible rewards. Those who develop strong faith are able to outlast challenges, while those who depend only on immediate results often stop too early. Building faith requires awareness, effort, and patience. It involves recognizing negative thought patterns, replacing them with stronger beliefs, and taking consistent action that supports growth. It is not a one-time decision, but a continuous process that develops over time. In the end, success is not only about strategy or opportunity, it is about the strength of belief that supports consistent action. A person who believes in their ability to grow, learn, and succeed creates a powerful internal environment that supports progress even in difficult situations. Faith is what keeps the mind steady when the external world is uncertain. It is what allows a person to continue building when there is no immediate proof, and it is what transforms effort into eventual success through persistence and trust in the invisible Process Chapter 4, Autosuggestion Rewiring the Mind for Success. The human mind is constantly influenced by repeated thoughts, whether a person is aware of it or not. Every idea that enters the mind and is repeated with emotion begins to shape belief, and belief begins to shape action. This process happens quietly in the background, but its impact is powerful because it determines how a person sees themselves and what they believe is possible. Autosuggestion is the process of consciously feeding the mind with thoughts that support growth, success, and confidence, instead of allowing random negative thinking to take control. It is a method of directing the mind toward a desired outcome through repetition and focus. It is not about pretending or ignoring reality. It is about training the mind to adopt thoughts that lead to constructive behavior. Most people already practice autosuggestion without realizing it, but often in a negative way. They repeat thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation. They tell themselves they are not capable. They assume failure before trying, and they constantly focus on problems instead of solutions. Over time, these repeated thoughts become beliefs, and these beliefs limit their actions. Mind does not strongly distinguish between real experiences and vividly repeated thoughts. When a person continuously tells themselves something with emotion, the mind begins to accept it as truth. This is why negative self-talk is so harmful, because it programs the mind to expect poor outcomes and to act in ways that confirm those expectations. Autosuggestion works in the opposite direction. It allows a person to intentionally plant thoughts that support their goals by repeating positive and focused statements about their abilities and their direction. They begin to change the internal dialogue that shapes their mindset. This shift does not happen instantly, but with consistency, it begins to influence behavior and decision-making. Key to effective autosuggestion is repetition with belief. Simply saying words without feeling or attention has little impact. The mind responds more strongly when thoughts are repeated with emotion, clarity, and focus. When a person clearly understands their goal and connects with it emotionally, their repeated thoughts begin to carry more weight. Another important element is consistency. Autosuggestion is not a one-time activity. It must be practiced regularly. Just like any other habit, daily repetition strengthens the message being sent to the mind, and over time, it replaces old limiting beliefs with new supportive ones. Timing also plays a role. The mind is more receptive during certain moments, such as early in the morning or before sleep. During these times, the conscious mind is less active, and the subconscious mind is more open to suggestion. Repeating focused thoughts during these periods can have a stronger impact on belief formation. Autosuggestion is closely connected to visualization. When a person not only repeats thoughts, but also imagines the outcome clearly, it creates a stronger impression in the mind. This combination of words and mental images helps the mind accept the possibility of success more easily and aligns emotions with goals. However, autosuggestion must be realistic and aligned with action. Repeating positive statements without taking steps toward the goal creates a gap between thinking and reality. This can lead to frustration. Instead, autosuggestion should support action. It should strengthen confidence, encourage effort, and maintain focus during challenges. Another challenge people face is impatience. They expect immediate change in their mindset after a few attempts, but belief is built over time. Through repetition and experience, old patterns may return, especially in difficult situations, but with persistence, new patterns gradually become stronger. Environment also influences the effectiveness of autosuggestion. If a person is constantly surrounded by negative input, it becomes harder to maintain positive thinking. This is why it is important to limit exposure to discouraging influences and to actively seek information and environments that support growth. Autosuggestion is not about becoming unrealistic or ignoring difficulties. It is about choosing a mindset that allows progress. It helps a person stay focused on what can be done instead of what cannot. It encourages responsibility and action instead of hesitation and avoidance. Example 1. A student preparing for an important exam constantly feels anxious and doubtful. He believes that he is not smart enough and that he will fail. This belief affects his ability to concentrate, and he struggles to perform well in practice tests. He decides to change his approach by using autosuggestion. Every day he repeats to himself that he is capable of learning and improving. He focuses on his effort rather than his fear. He also begins to visualize himself understanding the material and performing confidently in the exam. At first, the change feels small, but over time, his confidence improves. He studies with more focus, and his performance gradually increases. The shift began with changing his internal dialogue. Example 2a. Man working in a challenging job feels stuck and believes that he cannot progress in his career. He often compares himself to others and feels behind. This mindset reduces his motivation, and he avoids taking initiative. He starts practicing autosuggestion by repeating clear statements about his ability to grow, learn, and take responsibility. He combines this with small actions, such as improving his skills and taking on new tasks. At work, over time, his confidence increases, and he begins to see opportunities where he previously saw limitations. His progress becomes noticeable, and his career starts to move forward. His results changed because his thinking changed first. These examples show that autosuggestion is not magic. It is a practical tool for reshaping thought patterns and building stronger belief. It requires effort, consistency, and alignment with action, but its impact can be significant over time. In the journey of thinking before becoming rich, autosuggestion plays a crucial role because it allows a person to take control of their internal environment instead of being influenced by random or negative thoughts. They create a focused and supportive mindset that encourages growth. The mind is always listening to what is repeated most often. If a person does not choose their thoughts carefully, they may unknowingly reinforce limitations. But when they take control and practice autosuggestion with intention, they begin to shape their beliefs in a way that supports their goals. In the end, success is not only about external effort, it is also about internal conditioning. The way a person speaks to themselves influences how they act and how they respond. To challenge autosuggestion provides a method to strengthen that inner voice and align it with success. By consistently directing thoughts toward growth, confidence, and purpose, a person builds a mindset that supports action, resilience, and long-term achievement. This is how the invisible process of thinking begins to create visible results in reality. Chapter 5. Specialized knowledge and skill. Building knowledge is often seen as power, but in reality, only the right kind of knowledge applied in the right way creates progress. Many people spend years collecting information, but remain in the same position because they do not convert that knowledge into practical skill or focused action. General knowledge may make a person informed, but specialized knowledge makes a person valuable. It is the difference between knowing many things at a surface level and mastering something deeply enough to create results the world rewards those who can solve specific problems and provide clear value, not those who only possess scattered information without application. In the journey toward success and wealth, it is not necessary to know everything, but it is essential to know something well enough that it can be used effectively. This requires focus and discipline, because building specialized knowledge takes time, effort, and consistent practice. It is not achieved through quick learning or short-term effort. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that formal education alone is enough to guarantee success. While education can provide a strong foundation, it is only the beginning. Real growth happens when a person continues to learn beyond structured systems and adapts their knowledge to real-world situations. Specialized knowledge is dynamic. It evolves with time and changing conditions. A skill that is valuable today may need improvement tomorrow. This is why continuous learning is important. Those who remain committed to improving their knowledge stay relevant and competitive, while those who stop learning slowly lose their edge. Skill building is the process of turning knowledge into ability. It involves repetition, practice, and real experience. Reading or listening alone is not enough. A person must apply what they learn, test it in real situations, make mistakes, and improve through feedback. This process builds confidence and competence over time. Another important aspect of specialized knowledge is clarity. A person must understand what skill or field they want to develop. Without clarity, they may jump from one area to another without making meaningful progress. Focused effort on a chosen path leads to deeper understanding and stronger results. Learning also becomes more effective when it is connected to a clear goal. When a person knows why they are learning something, they become more engaged and motivated. They are able to filter information and focus on what is truly useful instead of becoming overwhelmed by unnecessary details. The environment plays a role in skill development as well. Being around people who are knowledgeable and experienced can accelerate learning. Observing others, asking questions, and receiving guidance helps a person avoid common mistakes and progress more efficiently. However, it is important to take responsibility for learning instead of depending entirely on others. While guidance is helpful, personal effort and initiative are essential. A person must be willing to invest time and energy into developing their skills. Even when the process feels slow or challenging, patience is a key part of building specialized knowledge. Mastery does not happen quickly. It requires consistent effort over a long period. Many people give up because they do not see immediate results. But those who stay committed gradually build strong capabilities that set them apart. Another factor to consider is adaptability. Knowledge must be flexible. A person should be willing to update their understanding and learn new approaches when needed. Holding on to outdated methods can limit growth, while being open to change allows continuous improvement. It is also important to connect knowledge with action. A person may know what to do, but if they do not take action, their knowledge remains unused and ineffective. Success comes from applying knowledge consistently and learning from the outcomes, both positive and negative. Example: when a young man spends years learning about business through books and online content, he understands many concepts but does not apply them in real situations. He feels knowledgeable but does not achieve significant results. Some point he decides to take action. He starts a small project and begins applying what he has learned. He faces challenges and realizes that theory and practice are different. He makes mistakes but learns from them and gradually improves his approach over time. His understanding becomes deeper and more practical. His progress begins only when he converts knowledge into skill through action. Example: 2A. Woman working in a competitive field notices that her growth has slowed. She realizes that her current skills are no longer enough to move forward. Instead of staying comfortable, she decides to upgrade her knowledge. She identifies specific skills that are in demand and begins learning them consistently. She practices regularly, applies her learning in her work, and seeks feedback from others. Her effort leads to improvement, and she becomes more confident in her abilities. New opportunities begin to appear because she has increased her value through specialized knowledge and skill development. These examples show that knowledge alone does not create success. It must be directed, focused, and applied in a meaningful way. Specialized knowledge, combined with consistent practice, leads to real growth and opens doors to new opportunities. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, it is important to recognize that skills are tools that turn ideas into results. Without the right tools, even the best ideas remain unrealized. When a person develops strong skills, they gain the ability to act effectively and create value in different situations. Learning should not be seen as a temporary phase, but as a continuous journey. Those who adopt this mindset remain open to growth and are better prepared to handle change and challenges. In the future, the goal is not to become perfect, but to become better with each step. Small improvements made consistently lead to significant progress over time, and this progress builds confidence and creates momentum in the end. Specialized knowledge and skill building provide the practical foundation for success. They transform thinking into action and action into results. They allow a person to move from intention to achievement and from potential to real, measurable growth. Chapter 6: Imagination. The workshop of wealth. Every creation that exists today was once only an idea in someone's mind. Before it became real, it existed as a thought shaped by imagination. This is why imagination is often called the workshop of wealth, because it is the place where ideas are formed, tested, and refined before they are brought into reality. Imagination is not limited to creativity in art or storytelling. It is a practical tool that allows a person to see possibilities beyond current conditions. It helps in solving problems, creating new opportunities, and finding better ways to do existing things. Without imagination, progress would be limited to repetition and routine. There are two main ways imagination works. One is through combining existing knowledge and experiences to form new ideas, and the other is through deeper creative thinking where completely new concepts begin to take shape. Both forms are important because they allow a person to expand their thinking and move beyond what is already known. Many people underestimate the importance of imagination because they are focused only on what is visible and practical. They believe that success comes only from hard work without realizing that direction is just as important as effort. Imagination provides that direction. It allows a person to think about where they want to go and how they can get there in a more effective way. When imagination is not used, the mind becomes limited to current circumstances. A person may believe that their situation cannot change because they cannot see any alternatives. But when they begin to use imagination, they start to explore new possibilities. They begin to ask questions and consider options that were not obvious before. Imagination also plays a role in goal setting. When a person clearly imagines their desired outcome, they create a mental picture that guides their actions. This picture acts as a reference point, helping them stay focused and motivated even when challenges appear. It makes the goal feel more real and achievable. Another important aspect of imagination is problem-solving. Challenges are a part of every journey, and the ability to think creatively helps a person find solutions instead of feeling stuck. Instead of seeing a problem as a barrier, they begin to see it as a situation that can be approached in different ways. This shift in thinking increases confidence and reduces fear. However, imagination must be connected with action. Ideas alone do not create results. They must be tested and implemented. A person may have many creative thoughts, but if they do not take steps to bring them into reality, those ideas remain unused potential. The combination of imagination and action is what leads to progress. It is also important to manage imagination in a balanced way. While positive and constructive thinking leads to growth, negative imagination can create fear and doubt when a person constantly imagines failure or worst-case scenarios. They limit their ability to act confidently. Learning to guide imagination toward productive thinking is an important skill. Exposure to new experiences, information, and perspectives can strengthen imagination. When a person learns new things and interacts with different ideas, their mind gains more material to work with. This allows them to create more effective and innovative solutions in their own journey. Another factor that influences imagination is openness. A person must be willing to consider new ideas without immediately rejecting them. Being too rigid in thinking limits creativity. While being open allows the mind to explore different possibilities and find better approaches. Imagination also supports long-term thinking. It helps a person look beyond immediate results and consider future outcomes. This perspective encourages patience and planning instead of short-term decision making. It allows a person to build something meaningful over time rather than seeking quick but temporary gains. Example 1a. Young man working in a routine job feels limited by his current situation. He believes that growth is not possible because he only sees what is in front of him. His daily routine remains the same, and his progress is slow. At some point, he begins to use his imagination to think about different possibilities. He considers what skills he could develop and what opportunities might exist beyond his current role. He starts learning new things and applies them in small ways. Over time, he creates a path that leads to better opportunities. His situation changes because he first changed the way he saw his possibilities. Example 2. A woman running a small business faces a decline in customers. She initially feels discouraged and considers giving up, but instead of stopping, she begins to think creatively about how she can improve her business. She explores new ways to reach customers and adjusts her approach based on changing needs. Her willingness to imagine new solutions leads to improvement, and her business begins to recover. She learns that challenges can be opportunities for innovation when approached with the right mindset. Her success comes not only from effort, but from her ability to think differently. These examples show that imagination is not separate from reality. It is a tool that shapes it. It allows a person to move from limitation to possibility and from routine to innovation. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, imagination plays a central role because it provides the ideas that guide action. Without it, a person may work hard but lack direction. With it, they can create more effective paths toward their goals. It is important to develop imagination through practice by thinking about different scenarios, asking questions, and exploring new ideas. The more a person engages with creative thinking, the stronger this ability becomes. At the same time, imagination should be grounded in reality. It should be used to create practical solutions and achievable goals rather than unrealistic expectations. This balance ensures that ideas can be turned into meaningful results. In the end, imagination is where potential begins. It is the space where thoughts are shaped into plans, and plans are prepared for action. It allows a person to see beyond current limits and create new possibilities through focused effort. Combined with knowledge, belief, and consistent action, imagination becomes a powerful force that transforms ideas into reality and opens the path toward growth, success, and wealth. Chapter 7. Organized planning. Turning thought into action. Thought without action remains incomplete, and action without direction often leads to wasted effort. This is why organized planning is essential, because it connects ideas with execution and transforms intention into measurable progress. It is the process of taking a goal and breaking it into clear steps that can be followed consistently. Many people have strong desire and creative ideas, but fail to achieve results because they do not plan effectively. They rely on motivation or temporary effort, and when challenges appear, they lose direction. Organized planning provides structure. It reduces confusion and helps a person stay focused even when circumstances change. Planning begins with clarity. A person must understand what they want to achieve and why it matters to them. This clarity allows them to create a path instead of moving randomly without a clear goal. Planning becomes weak because there is no defined direction to follow. Once the goal is clear, the next step is to identify the actions required to move toward it. This involves thinking about resources, skills, time, and possible challenges. It does not mean predicting everything perfectly, but it allows a person to prepare and reduce uncertainty. Organized planning also requires flexibility. No plan is perfect, and conditions can change. Unexpected situations may appear, and adjustments may be necessary. A rigid approach can lead to frustration, while a flexible mindset allows improvement and adaptation without losing the overall direction. One of the most important elements of planning is consistency. A plan is only useful when it is followed regularly. Taking small steps every day creates progress over time, while inconsistent effort leads to slow or no results. Discipline plays a key role here because it ensures that actions continue even when motivation is low. Planning also helps in managing time effectively. When tasks are organized, and prioritized, it becomes easier to focus on what matters instead of being distracted by less important activities. This increases productivity and reduces stress because there is a clear sense of direction. Another benefit of organized planning is that it allows measurement of progress. When a person has a plan, they can track what has been completed and what still needs to be done. This feedback helps in identifying strengths and weaknesses and making necessary improvements. However, many people avoid planning because they feel it is too complicated or time-consuming. They prefer to act quickly without preparation, but this often leads to mistakes and wasted effort. Taking time to plan does not slow progress, it actually increases efficiency and reduces unnecessary setbacks. Planning should also include realistic expectations. Setting goals that are too easy may not lead to growth, while setting goals that are too difficult without proper preparation can lead to discouragement. A balanced approach helps maintain motivation and steady progress. Collaboration can also be part of effective planning. Working with others, sharing ideas, and seeking advice can improve the quality of a plan. Different perspectives provide new insights and help in identifying better solutions. However, it is important to choose the right people who support growth and provide constructive input. Another key factor is commitment. A plan may be well designed, but without commitment, it will not be executed. A person must take responsibility for following their plan and making adjustments when necessary, instead of abandoning it at the first sign of difficulty. It is also important to review and refine the plan regularly. As progress is made, new information becomes available, and changes may be required. Continuous improvement keeps the plan relevant and effective over time. Example: 1A student wants to improve his academic performance, but initially he studies without any clear plan. He spends time on different subjects randomly and often feels overwhelmed. His results remain average because his effort lacks direction. Decides to create an organized plan. He sets specific goals for each subject, allocates time for study, and identifies areas where he needs improvement. He follows this plan consistently and tracks his progress over time. His performance improves because his effort becomes focused and structured. Example: 2A, man aims to start a business but begins without proper planning. He invests time and money without understanding the market or preparing for challenges. He faces difficulties and his progress becomes unstable. He then takes a step back and develops a structured plan. He studies the market, identifies his target audience, and creates a step-by-step approach for growth. He adjusts his plan as he learns from experience and gradually builds stability. His success becomes more consistent because his actions are guided by organized planning. These examples show that planning is not just about thinking ahead. It is about creating a practical path that can be followed and improved over time. It reduces uncertainty and increases the chances of success by aligning effort with clear direction. In the journey of thinking before becoming rich, organized planning acts as a bridge between ideas and results. It ensures that thoughts are not left unused and that actions are not taken blindly. It creates a system that supports steady progress. Long-term achievement. Planning does not guarantee immediate success, but it significantly increases the likelihood of reaching a goal because it provides clarity, structure, and focus. It allows a person to move forward with confidence even when challenges appear. In the end, success is not only about having strong desire or creative ideas, it is about executing those ideas. Effectively organized planning provides the framework that turns potential into progress and effort into meaningful results. A person learns to plan carefully, act consistently, and adjust intelligently. They create a powerful process that leads to growth, stability, and long-term success. This is how thought is transformed into action, and action into achievement. Chapter 8: Decision, the habit that separates winners. One of the clearest differences between those who move forward in life and those who remain stuck is the ability to make decisions quickly and stand by them with confidence while remaining open to improvement. Decision is not just a single act. It is a habit, a pattern of thinking and acting that shapes direction over time. Many people delay decisions because they fear making mistakes. They overthink every possibility and wait for perfect conditions that never arrive. This hesitation leads to missed opportunities and wasted time, because life continues to move forward, whether a person decides or not. In reality, indecision is also a decision, but it often leads to staying in the same place. A strong decision does not mean having complete certainty. It means having enough clarity and confidence to take action. Despite uncertainty, successful individuals understand that not every decision will be perfect, but they also know that progress comes from movement, not from waiting. Decision is closely connected to responsibility. When a person makes a decision, they take ownership of the outcome. They accept that results, whether positive or negative, are part of the process. This mindset builds strength because it encourages learning and improvement instead of blame and avoidance. One of the biggest challenges in decision making is external influence. Opinions from others can create confusion, especially when they come from people who do not fully understand the situation or the goal. While advice can be helpful, depending too much on others can weaken confidence and delay action. It is important to listen, but also to trust personal judgment. Clarity plays an important role in decision making. When a person has a clear goal, it becomes easier to evaluate options and choose the path that aligns with that goal. Without clarity, decisions become difficult because there is no clear direction to guide them. Another important factor is speed. This does not mean rushing without thinking, but it means avoiding unnecessary delay, taking reasonable time to evaluate options, and then committing to a decision allows progress to continue. Waiting too long often leads to lost opportunities and reduced momentum. Consistency in decision-making builds confidence. Each time a person makes a decision and follows through, they strengthen their ability to trust themselves. This creates a positive cycle where confidence leads to action, and action leads to experience, which further improves decision-making. Fear of failure often prevents people from making decisions. They imagine negative outcomes and become hesitant to act. However, avoiding decisions does not eliminate risk. It often increases it, because inaction can lead to stagnation, while action provides learning and growth, even if mistakes occur. Another aspect of decision is adaptability. Making a decision does not mean it cannot be changed if new information becomes available, or if the situation evolves. Adjusting the decision is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. The key is to remain committed to progress while being flexible in approach. Discipline also plays a role. Once a decision is made, it must be supported by consistent action. Changing direction too frequently weakens results because it prevents deep progress in any one area. Staying committed allows time for results to develop and for improvement to take place. Example 1. A young man has an opportunity to pursue a new career path, but he hesitates because he is unsure of the outcome. He spends months thinking and seeking opinions from others, but does not take action during this time. The opportunity passes, and he remains in the same position later. He decides to change his approach when another opportunity appears. He evaluates it carefully, but does not delay unnecessarily. He makes a decision and commits to it. He faces challenges but learns from them and gradually builds experience. As progress improves because he develops the habit of making decisions and acting on them. Ample. A woman managing her own work faces multiple options for growth. She initially tries to follow all of them at once without making a clear decision. Her efforts become scattered and results remain limited. She then chooses one direction based on her goals and focuses her energy on it. She commits to her decision and works consistently. Over time, she sees improvement and gains confidence. Her success comes from deciding clearly and avoiding unnecessary distraction. These examples show that decision is not about being perfect. It is about being decisive. It is about choosing a path and moving forward instead of staying stuck in uncertainty. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, decision plays a critical role because it determines whether thoughts and plans are turned into action without decision. Even the best ideas remain unused. Potential. Developing the habit of decision requires practice. It involves learning to trust judgment, accepting responsibility, and acting despite fear. It also involves understanding that mistakes are part of growth and that improvement comes from experience. It is important to reduce the influence of fear and doubt by focusing on long-term goals instead of short-term discomfort. When a person is clear about where they want to go, it becomes easier to make decisions that support that direction. In the end, success is not only about knowledge or planning. It is about execution, and execution begins with decision. Those who learn to decide with clarity and act with commitment create momentum that leads to progress and achievement. Decision is the turning point where thinking becomes action, and action begins to shape results. It is the habit that separates those who move forward from those who remain in the same place. And it is a skill that can be developed with awareness, practice, and consistency. Chapter 9. Persistence. The hidden force of success. Success is rarely the result of a single effort or a short period of hard work. It is most often the outcome of consistent action taken over time, despite difficulties, delays, and failures. This consistent effort is known as persistence, and it is one of the most powerful yet underestimated forces behind achievement. Many people begin their journey with excitement and motivation, but stop when they face the first signs of difficulty. They expect quick results, and when those results do not appear, they lose confidence and change direction. This pattern prevents progress. Because meaningful success requires time and repeated effort, persistence is what allows a person to continue when motivation fades. It is the ability to stay committed to a goal, even when the process becomes challenging or uncomfortable. It is not based on emotion, but on discipline and clarity of purpose. One of the main reasons people lack persistence is because their desire is not strong enough. When a goal is unclear or not deeply important, it becomes easy to give up when obstacles appear. In contrast, when a person has a strong reason for their goal, they are more willing to endure challenges and continue moving forward. Another factor that affects persistence is belief. If a person does not believe that success is possible, they will not continue for long. Doubt weakens effort and reduces consistency, while belief strengthens commitment and supports long-term action. Challenges are a natural part of any journey. Setbacks, failures, and delays are not signs to stop, but opportunities to learn and improve. Those who persist understand that each difficulty provides feedback that can be used to adjust their approach. Instead of seeing failure as a final result, they see it as a temporary stage. Patience is closely connected to persistence. Progress often happens slowly, and results may not be visible for a long time. During this period, it is easy to feel discouraged, but those who remain patient and continue working eventually see the outcome of their efforts. Consistency is the practical expression of persistence. It is not about making one big effort, but about taking small steps regularly. Even when progress seems slow, these small actions accumulate over time and create significant results. Environment also influences persistence. Being surrounded by supportive people and positive influences can help maintain motivation and focus, while negative environments can weaken determination and increase doubt. Choosing the right environment or creating a supportive one is important for sustaining effort. Habits play a key role in persistence. When actions become part of a routine, they require less mental effort and are easier to maintain. Building habits that support the goal helps ensure that progress continues even during difficult periods. Important aspect is adaptability. Persistence does not mean repeating the same actions without change. If something is not working, it is necessary to adjust the approach while staying committed to the goal. This balance between consistency and flexibility increases the chances of success. Many people underestimate how close they are to success before they give up. They stop just before their efforts begin to produce results. because they cannot see the progress that is happening beneath the surface. Persistence allows a person to continue long enough to reach that point. Example. When a young man starts learning a new skill with the intention of improving his career, at the beginning he is motivated, but after some time, he struggles to understand complex concepts and his progress slows. He considers quitting because he feels that he is not improving fast enough, and instead of stopping, he decides to continue practicing daily. He seeks help, improves his methods, and remains consistent over time. His understanding grows, and he becomes more confident. Eventually, his skill level improves enough to create new opportunities. His success is not due to initial talent, but to his persistence during difficult phases. Example. A woman starts a small project with the goal of creating an additional source of income in the beginning. She faces many obstacles. She does not see immediate results, and her efforts feel uncertain. People around her question her decision, which increases her doubt. Despite this, she continues working on her project. She learns from her mistakes, improves her approach, and stays consistent. Even when progress is slow, after a long period of effort, her project begins to grow and produce results. Her achievement is the result of persistence and her ability to continue despite challenges. These examples show that persistence is not about avoiding difficulty, but about facing it with determination. It is the ability to remain focused on the goal while improving along the way. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, persistence is essential because it ensures that plans and actions are carried through to completion. Without it, even strong desire and good planning lose their impact because they are not supported by consistent effort. Developing persistence requires awareness, discipline, and a clear sense of purpose. It involves understanding that progress takes time and that setbacks are part of the journey. It also requires the ability to manage emotions and stay focused even when results are not immediately visible. It is important to build routines that support persistence, setting regular times for work, maintaining focus on priorities, and reducing distractions all contribute to consistent action over time. The end success is not determined by how quickly a person starts, but by how long they continue. Those who persist long enough eventually reach a point where their efforts begin to produce visible results. Persistence is the hidden force that turns potential into achievement. It is what keeps a person moving when others stop, and it is what allows effort to compound over time into meaningful success. It is not always visible, but its impact is powerful and lasting. Chapter 10. Mastermind: the power of surrounding influence. No individual achieves lasting success alone. Every person who reaches a high level of achievement is influenced, shaped, and supported by other minds, whether directly or indirectly. This collective influence is known as the mastermind principle. It is the idea that when two or more people come together in harmony of purpose, their combined intelligence and energy becomes greater than the sum of their individual abilities. Human thinking is deeply influenced by environment and the people we interact with regularly. The thoughts, beliefs, habits, and attitudes of those around us slowly begin to shape our own mindset without conscious awareness. This is why the quality of relationships and associations plays such an important role in personal and financial growth. A strong mastermind is not just a group of people. It is a connection built on shared goals, mutual respect, and aligned thinking. When individuals come together with a clear purpose and contribute their knowledge, experience, and ideas, they create a powerful force that helps each member grow faster than they would alone. One of the most important aspects of a mastermind is exchange of ideas. No single person has complete knowledge, but when multiple perspectives are combined, better solutions emerge. Problems become easier to solve and opportunities become more visible. This collaborative thinking expands understanding and improves decision-making. However, not all groups create positive influence. The type of people a person surrounds themselves with can either support growth or limit it. If a person is constantly around negative thinking, discouragement, or lack of ambition, Their own mindset may slowly adopt the same patterns and contrast. Being around motivated, focused, and growth-oriented individuals can inspire improvement and action. A mastermind also provides accountability when individuals share goals with others. They are more likely to stay committed because they do not want to let others down. This sense of responsibility helps maintain consistency and discipline, especially during difficult periods. Another important benefit is motivation. Being part of a group with similar ambitions creates a sense of energy and encouragement. Seeing others take action and achieve progress can inspire a person to push beyond their own limits and continue working toward their goals. Trust is essential in a mastermind environment. Without trust, people are less likely to share ideas openly or accept feedback constructively. When trust is present, communication becomes more effective and collaboration becomes more meaningful, leading to better outcomes for everyone involved. It is also important to choose mastermind relationships carefully. Not every connection is beneficial. A person must be intentional about who they allow into their close circle, selecting individuals who are serious about growth, focused on improvement, and willing to contribute positively. In many cases, a mastermind does not need to be formal. It can exist in everyday life among colleagues, friends, mentors, or even online communities. What matters is the quality of interaction and the shared commitment to growth. Personal growth often accelerates when a person is part of a strong mastermind because they are constantly exposed to new ideas, different perspectives, and constructive feedback. This exposure challenges old thinking patterns and encourages continuous learning. At the same time, a mastermind requires contribution. It is not about taking only, it is about giving as well. Each member adds value, whether through knowledge, support, experience, or encouragement. This balance creates a healthy and productive environment. Example: ONEA, young professional, feels stuck in his career. Despite working hard alone, he struggles to find new ideas or opportunities. His progress is slow, and he often feels uncertain about his direction. He then joins a small group of like-minded individuals who meet regularly to discuss goals, challenges, and ideas. Through these interactions, he learns new strategies, gains motivation, and receives feedback on his plans. His thinking expands, and he begins to see opportunities he previously ignored. Over time, his career improves because of the influence and support of the group. Example: to a woman trying to build a small business works independently for a long time. She makes progress, but it is slow, and she often feels isolated and unsure about her decisions. Later, she connects with other entrepreneurs who share similar goals. They exchange experiences, discuss challenges, and offer advice. This support helps her avoid mistakes, improve her strategies, and stay motivated. Her business begins to grow more steadily as she becomes part of a supportive network. These examples show that success is not only about individual effort, but also about the quality of relationships and influences around a person. The right connections can significantly accelerate growth. In the process of thinking before becoming rich, the mastermind principle plays a crucial role because it multiplies intelligence, motivation, and opportunity. It helps a person move beyond limited thinking and access broader perspectives. Building a strong mastermind requires intentional effort. It involves seeking out the right people, nurturing relationships, and actively participating in meaningful discussions. It also requires openness to learning and willingness to contribute. It is equally important to distance oneself from negative influences that discourage growth or reinforce limiting beliefs. The environment a person chooses has a direct impact on their mindset and progress. In the end, no one achieves success in isolation. Progress is often the result of shared knowledge, support, and collective effort. A strong mastermind acts as a catalyst that accelerates learning, improves decision-making, and strengthens commitment. When a person surrounds themselves with the right influences, they begin to think differently, act more confidently, and move more effectively toward their goals. The power of combined minds creates opportunities that would be difficult to achieve alone. and becomes a key factor in long-term success. Conclusion. Thinking before you get rich. The journey toward wealth and success always begins in a place that cannot be seen. It begins in thought. Every idea, every decision, every action, and every result is first shaped inside the mind before it appears in the outside world. When a person understands this truth, they stop searching only for external change and start building internal transformation across all the chapters. One consistent message remains clear: success is not an accident. It is not a matter of luck alone, and it is not simply the result of hard work without direction. It is the outcome of structured thinking combined with focused desire, disciplined action, and consistent belief. When these elements come together, progress becomes not only possible but inevitable over time. Thought is the starting point. Desire gives it direction. Faith keeps it alive. Autosuggestion strengthens it. Imagination expands it. Planning organizes it. Decision activates it. Persistence sustains its skill, gives it power, and the mastermind multiplies its strength. Each element plays a role in shaping the journey from idea to reality. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they do not manage their thinking. They allow doubt, fear, confusion, and external influence to control their direction. This creates inconsistency and prevents long-term progress. But when a person learns to take control of their inner world, their outer world begins to change. Wealth, in its true sense, is not only financial, it is also the ability to control your time, your attention, your emotions, and your direction. A person who develops this control becomes more stable, focused, and capable in every area of life. Money then becomes a result of that inner strength rather than the sole goal. The process of thinking before becoming rich is not about shortcuts. It is about transformation. It requires patience because change does not happen instantly. It requires honesty because self-awareness is necessary for growth. And it requires discipline because consistent action is what turns thought into reality. Will be moments of doubt and challenges along the way, but these are not signs of failure. They are part of the process. They test beliefs, strengthen persistence, and refine direction. Those who continue despite difficulty are the ones who eventually reach their goals. It is also important to remember that success is not a final destination. It is a continuous process of improvement, learning, and adaptation, even after achieving goals. The mindset that created success must be maintained and developed further. Otherwise, progress can fade over time. Every person has the ability to shape their future through thought and action. No situation is permanent, and no limitation is final. Change begins when a person decides to take responsibility for their thinking and commits to improving it. Step by step, the ideas in this journey are not meant to remain theoretical. They are meant to be practiced, applied, and experienced. Real transformation happens when knowledge is used in daily life, when thoughts are directed with intention, and when actions are aligned with purpose. In the end, the greatest wealth a person can develop is a strong, disciplined, and focused mind, because everything else is built upon it. When thinking improves, decisions improve. When decisions improve, actions improve. And when actions improve, results naturally follow. Think clearly, act consistently, believe strongly, and persist through challenges, because what begins in the mind will eventually take shape in reality, and the life you create will always reflect the quality of the thoughts you choose to think repeatedly and with purpose. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.